Have you ever had a really bad day? You know, one of those days where everything seems to go wrong. You oversleep because you didn't hear your alarm. Then you stub your toe on the way to the shower. Then you lose your car keys. Now you're really late for work. And now, on the way to work, every car seems determined to irritate and annoy you. You know those days? And what do you tend to say to yourself when you have a day like that? Let me guess. Something along the lines of, what else can go wrong? How can my day get worse than this? Right? So what's wrong with that? Well, if I were to ask you a question, say, what is your name? Generally, you will answer me and tell me your name. Most of the time when anyone asks a question, they are answered. And it's the same with the universe, or whatever your belief system is of whatever it is that's out there that's bigger and greater than us. For the purposes of this, I'm going to call it the universe. So if you were to say to the universe, what else can go wrong? The universe is going to answer you and show you what else can go wrong. If you ask, how can my day get worse than this? The universe is happy to oblige and will show you how your day can get worse than this. So unless those are the answers that you are looking for, those are the answers that you want, I suggest you ask a different question. So what question could you ask? Well, there are many, but my all-time favorite is, how can it get better than this? How can it get better than this? Many years ago, I had the opportunity of flying to Europe with my partner. He was going to a conference in Amsterdam. He was flying to Frankfurt and then catching the train to Amsterdam. When he booked, he had a direct flight from Joburg through to Frankfurt. But by the time when I decided to go along with him, I couldn't afford that ticket. I needed one of those more expensive tickets. You know those tickets where you have to go halfway around the world in order to get a cheaper price? You go twice the distance, but you pay half the price. You know those tickets? So I got one of those. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. We both started in Cape Town. I was going to be leaving a few hours before him. He was going to wait in Joburg a bit longer than normal. And then when we got to Frankfurt, I was only going to arrive an hour after him. And it gave him time to get from his terminal to my terminal to pick me up before we had to race to catch the train. So not ideal, but it worked. So when it came to check-in in Cape Town, we came to check-in, showed our tickets, and we immediately discovered that my flight was delayed, quite significantly delayed, and I might miss my connecting flight. So there was a possibility I might even miss the train, or I wouldn't have much time to get there. So there was a bit of a moment of panic while my partner scrambled around to make sure I got the paperwork, because before I thought we were traveling together. We might not now, because who knew what was going to happen. And while all this was happening, I just sat there at the counter going, how can it get better than this? How can it get better than this? This is not what I planned. How can it get better than this? Anyway, eventually I sent him off to the domestic departures while I headed off to international departures to await my fate. I sent a message to a friend and colleague who knows how much I love How Can It Get Better Than This? Just briefly described what was going on. And at the end I said, I don't know how, but this is going to work out. How can it get better than this? Sent the message, and over the next little while I was waiting to see what was going to happen, I repeated to myself every now and then, how can it get better than this? A few hours later, the guy who was sorting us out, there were about 9 of us who were affected by this, came along to say, I think you need to phone your families because you're not likely to arrive tonight as planned. It's more likely lunchtime tomorrow. The plane is delayed by almost 12 hours. I didn't think there was much point worrying my partner even further than what he was. And I just sat down in my seat and I waited and I thought, how does it get better than this? This has got to work out. I've got a paid train ticket from Frankfurt to Amsterdam. I'm not going to be able to use that. I'm going to lose that money because I'm not going to be able to catch the train if my flight is 12 hours late. How does it get better than this? And I kept repeating it. I had plenty of time to repeat it because it was another few hours before he reappeared without any explanations, got us to follow him. So we followed him through the airport, down through some corridors I didn't know existed, going backwards through security, ending up back at checkout. First, I was a little bit worried. I thought, are we going to have to be going home overnight or something, going back to Cape Town? Like, what's going on? But when we landed at the checkout counters, he dealt with us one at a time. And when it came to me, he just said to me, ticket, passed over my ticket, passport, passed over my passport. A few minutes later, handed me 2 boarding passes. I was booked on the next flight to Joburg so that I could meet up with my partner and we could discuss the new arrangements. And I had been booked on the Lufthansa flight direct from Joburg to Frankfurt, one of the flights I couldn't afford. So here I'd paid the cheaper flight that was complicated and all over the world, but I was going to be able to fly on the direct flight that I couldn't afford. How does it get better than that? I looked at it, I'm like, how does it get better than this? Racing to the flight and then just looking at my ticket and going, how does it get better than this? When I met up with my partner in Joburg, we discovered not only was I going on the direct flight, a different flight to him, but still direct, we were going to end up in the same terminal, which was going to save a lot of time and only 10 minutes apart. So now we had much more time to catch the train. Woo! What a relief. So when I got on that flight in Joburg on Lufthansa on my way to Frankfurt, in absolute relief, I sat in my seat waiting for everyone else to board going, how does it get better than this? It's worked out better than what I could afford, better than what I could have arranged, either of us. Just how does it get better than this? And you know how it got better? I got 3 seats to myself, my seat and the 2 next to me, so that I could lie down and get a good night's sleep so that I could be refreshed and ready for my travel to Amsterdam. How does it get better than that? So I encourage you to use this. I have other examples that other people that I've shared this with. One person shared it when she was stuck in traffic, going, how can it get better than this? How can it get better than this? She was late for an appointment. A few minutes later, an ambulance went by. She pulled out behind the ambulance and got to her appointment in record time. How does it get better than that? Another friend and colleague of mine, who I shared this with, was sitting on the beach in Durban, looking out at the beautiful blue sea, feeling the warmth of the summer sunshine on her skin and the gentle breeze. She was feeling so grateful for her life. And in this moment of gratitude, she was just saying, how does it get better than this? And she said it with her eyes closed. How does it get better than this? And a few minutes after she opened her eyes, a pod of dolphins came in the sea before her and started playing about 500 meters out to sea. How does it get better than that? So what else is possible? I really recommend you try this and see how it works for you. Ask the question, how does it get better than this? And let us know, how does it work for you? Thank you for listening.